live on social media. Here we go. There we go. We are live on social media. We are on the radio on 93.7 FM SCA1. I'm Eric Jean Baptiste. I'm your host, and we talk about um, issues that are affecting Generation Z so we can bridge the gap from A to Z, so we can learn from each other, we can help each other, we can become better leaders by empowering the next generation, by listening to them and talking about what they care about. So today I have an awesome guest for you who is going to really share what she knows from where she has been. So once again, you are listening to us on 93.7 FM SCA1 Radio Sentinel in Massachusetts and on social media on Facebook and YouTube right now. So this is For the Z.
Pop out with some lessons for a lifetime. We finna sit down and talk about the times. Keeping it 100 for the one time. For our generation, talking all the time. For the Z, for the Z, yeah, yeah. For the Z, for the Z, yeah, yeah. For the Z, for the Z, yeah, yeah. For the Z, pop out with the Z.
All right, everyone. This is For the Z. I'm Eric Jean Baptiste, and we are going to have some interesting conversation today. I am joined today with Sister Mwenya, who works at the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists in the youth department. So let's just ask, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for what you're doing with your ministry. So overall, I'm good despite Corona and everything. I'm pretty okay. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. It's uh it's yeah, Corona has been a very busy time in youth ministry. You'd think it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be, but a lot of open to opportunities such as this radio show and everything. So yeah, still keeping busy. So if you could give us a little bit of your bio and backgrounds for those who are listening.
Oof. Okay. So I my name is Mwenya Mpundu. I'm originally from the country of Zambia, which is in the southern eastern part of Africa. Um, Then in the US, I claim New York. New York is the home in America. Originally from New York, was working out here with the Greater New York Conference, and then got the opportunity to work out in Maryland with the General Conference in the youth department. So I think that's pretty much it, I think.
Wow, wow. Uh, Today is Pastor Ariel Manzueta's birthday, so we have to
Pew
give him
pew
a shout out
pew.
for Greater New York. And
Yeah.
the thing I even said earlier today in wishing him a happy birthday is there has been a great number of leaders who have come out of Greater New York. I mean, yourself, Sister Kenya, who also works in the General Conference, Pastor Andres Peralta, who is the World Pathfinder Director, is from was a former youth director for Greater New York Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pastor Jose Cortez, who
Cortez.
works at the North American Division, is also a
Mm-hmm.
former Greater New York youth director. So my question for you, man, is what is up with Greater New York and how can I join? Because you guys make leaders like crazy.
Greater be pulling out the greats. And I'll be remiss to say Pastor Willie Oliver, who is currently the Family Ministries Director at the General Conference, used to be NAD Associate Youth Director, is also a Greater New York native. So I think Greater New York just be pulling out the greats. But I think it's just I don't know. I haven't worked with another conference as closely, but we really pride ourselves in letting everybody do everything. You know what I mean? If there's an opportunity where someone else can serve and someone else can do something, we let it happen. We just let people work. So I think
Uh,
that's really if that's a formula, I think that's the formula Grader has.
what one other thing I want to mention is I believe you guys have a great amount of coordinators that are young, that are in the young adult age. Um, I don't want to name some conferences, but there's some conferences where the area coordinators are quite in the boomer age range or
Mhm.
Generation X, and very few millennials or even Gen Z. While Greater New York, you guys have quite a few millennials running the show, and I have to applaud that. And it's really interesting. What do you have to say about that?
We do. I'm not gonna lie. Greater has, I'm one of them. So, well, I was one of them. You got Damien right behind me, right ahead of me. We got Chi running marching and drilling right now, who is a Gen Zer. Got Chantel Hall. So we do have some young people leading up, but we still struggle with the dynamics of the scale. So we're still fighting that battle as well. But at least we're progressing in a bit.
Wow, that's awesome. So I can't get enough of Greater New York. It's one of my favorite conferences, so I always have to give them a shout out. But
Me too.
moving on,
I've been gone and I'm still trying to figure out how to actually be gone.
nice. Yeah, yeah. So with that, I have to move on to your experience at the General Conference. You've been there a few months now. Um, so, what insights do you have on how our church is engaging and conversating with Gen Z?
Hmm. I think I know for a fact for the youth department, we've been trying to make it a conscious effort to include young people in conversations. I know during the right now when we've been having the conversation on race and race in America and then race in the world. Pastor Paco was able to host a conversation with young people, just young people, about their feelings and what's going on. And then also on the Instagram page, we're trying to make sure we're inviting as many young people as we can. Myself and Kenya host a podcast for the youth department called You, Me, We podcast. So I think in each level, I think with the department, we're trying to really involve young people in conversations with the church. So I think that would be my insight. Yeah.
Wow. That you kind of led me to where I wanted to go next. And as a fellow podcaster, I love to learn from other podcasters, and you are one of them. You plus me plus we, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You
so
plus me
uh,
plus we.
yes, you plus me plus we. What have you learned from joining the podcasting ranks and having awesome podcasting guests?
I learned that it's hard. I learned that Kenya and I didn't understand quite as hard as it would be to pull this thing off. But it's been a struggle in a bit, but we've been learning through it. Just the transition from being in studio to being at home recording has been, interesting. But I think at least for me and having Kenya as a co-host, we kind of share the workload. So I'm usually the one prepping, finding questions. We kind of talk about guests together, and then Kenya does more heavily on the editing, and because she's just a little bit more meticulous than I am, so she'll be really sitting there for a while editing that the podcast out. So I think I applaud you for doing it by yourself. I don't even know how you can go ahead and do that. So I think having the two of us together has really helped in that dynamic and in learning how to run this podcast and also work together.
Man, I can tell you that's definitely something I would love to have, a constant co-host. And practically what
Mm-hmm.
I do is I always get a co-host. I can't fill the time by myself. So just like on For the
That's
Z,
true.
I always get somebody to speak with me and learn
Mm-hmm.
from. I do the same thing for the podcast. And yeah, it's so going along that vein, you have been, probably getting in touch with a lot of content creators in our SDA world, especially with the young adults. What have you gained, not only being a podcaster yourself, but um, connecting with all these content creators from around the world?
Um, I think I think the coolest thing that has happened so far in doing this podcast is I think like maybe like a month ago or so, Kenya and I, because in the beginning when we started, we were like, we'll just heavily promote on the GC page and then eventually plug out and have our own page. So about a month ago, Kenya and I took the plunge and started an Instagram. So go ahead and follow us at youmewe.pod. And almost immediately, I think like I don't even think we had posted not one thing yet, or maybe a little bit after. We had a girl from DR message us and say, I've been praying for an opportunity to help in some type of creative aspects with youth ministries. And I think you guys are the answer to my prayers. And girl, this girl is amazing creatively in making artwork, logos, and everything. So I think just realizing that there's so much people can add on just in different aspects. So she's not on the podcast with us, but behind the scenes, we can't do it without her and all of the ideas she's bringing to the table. So I think, yeah, so learning that everybody has their own little thing that they can bring to the table to help in pushing your project or whatever the case may be is one of the best things I've learned during this time.
Yeah, because I wanted to highlight that because I think now, especially with COVID coming, I think the creators have come out of the woodworks,
Mm-hmm.
even if they were never really in the wood. It's just that maybe you weren't paying attention, and now you're starting to pay attention, and you're seeing all the wonderful things they're doing. Um, there was a number of them. There's I think a woman in uh, South America who is blown up on TikTok. There's a pastor in out west who also blew up on TikTok, and I followed him right away, trying to say, man, what is
Mm-hmm.
he doing? And it's interesting. It's just, and that's what this show is primarily about, is trying to reach people, but not necessarily doing it the traditional means. Because his name,
Yeah.
he basically talks about chai tea, and he blew up doing that. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's something that, let me ask this about with you, Mwenya, because what I noticed in using social media is the things that we learn in theology. Going for your master's of divinity or your bachelor's in theology, you're not gonna get a class on how to navigate StreamYard or Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
or how to
Mm-hmm.
engage with Gen Z on TikTok, because I tried using my theology stuff on TikTok and it has failed miserably. Miserably.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to hear from you is, how do you think we can really start conversations and really talk about Jesus with Gen Z, especially on social media?
I think for me, it's find you a token Gen Zer or two or three, and just ask them, because I think I spoke to you about this when we were originally doing the podcast, or late last year, early this year. And it's at least with Greater New York with the social media team, it was me and Lewis running it for a while, and we're two millennials, and like the soon after we're just like grabbed three Gen Zers and just like help us out, let's do something, and ideas flow differently. You have different ideas, things that I don't see they see. They put me on to the latest TikTok dances, the latest TikTok sayings, and I wouldn't know that if I'm just walking in my space and in my group of people. So I think just inviting them to a conversation, inviting them to the planning meetings, inviting them to whatever you want to do next. I think that's the best way, because if you do it trying to target them and try to reach them, but not know them and not have them involved in that process, you're gonna fail miserably. And we're just going to talk to the same people we've been talking to the whole time. I think
Yeah,
involving Gen Zers is the best thing ever.
yeah,
Well,
definitely.
even involving the whatever group you're trying to reach. So if it's older people involved, you know what I mean? Whatever group you're trying to reach, if they're not involved in that planning and that understanding, you're not gonna get where you want to get. At least in my
Wow.
experience.
So
Yeah.
my question is, what are some practical steps, not only in finding a Gen Z, learning from them, getting the slang, getting the lingo. I mean, right now it's what's it now? It's blank for me. That's what they're saying a lot now. It's blank for me.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's the big thing on TikTok. So
It's the
um,
AirPods for me.
there you go. It's the AirPods for me. It's for the Z for me. It's being live on the radio on 93.7 FM SCA1 Radio Center now for me. So but what are the practical steps on using social media to increase your engagement and reach the younger generation?
I think first things first, get on social media, because I know for the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, me and my other friend were just talking about how many calls I've gotten from older pastors or older people in the church just saying, how do I get on the Facebooks? How do I get on the Instagram? So I think being there, first of all, being in the presence, being in the community, and then number two is staying consistent. So whatever you're gonna do, consistently do it. If you're going to come up with a schedule, if you're gonna post once a week, consistently post once a week. If you're gonna post 3 times a week, consistently post 3 times a week. Don't make this something that you just do whenever you're gonna have an event or whenever you're gonna have something happening. Try to do it as consistently as possible. Yeah, there'll be the times where maybe scheduling won't happen correctly or you'll miss something. But I think as long as you're consistently trying to do it consistently. I know that sentence probably didn't make sense, but if you're trying to do it consistently, it will work out, and people will finally find you, or they'll understand better. And then involve people, and even if it's just another voice can help you bounce off ideas, can help you kind of work through what you're trying to do with someone. So I think for me at least, I have to involve someone else in my process of engaging in anything.
All right. Yes, thank you so much for that. I think this is
Hmm.
something that we have to really pay attention to and learn. It's just about finding out how we can engage better on social media so that we can help. I think, yeah, like the next generation, and you know the these there. I think there's a lot of people who are asking. Oh, are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. All right. So for some strange reason, they're not getting you on the radio. So I thought they would be able to.
At all?
Yeah. Let me see what I can do about that.
Maybe it's me. I'll take out my AirPods and we can try to.
Well, we'll just.
How about now?
Well, I wouldn't know. They would have. I think they'll let me know. If not, I
Okay.
will. We'll keep recording and we'll send it to them so that they can replay it at another time. Um, so yeah, it's about growing the engagement and just learning how we can use it, because I believe that's where young people are. We're on social media, and that's what we are using and utilizing to reach people. I mean, this is what is really interesting to me, is the fact that all these Gen Z people, and even the younger, like some are even, the little ones are getting on there sometimes very early. Um, there are so many of them. And the fact that if you are able to engage there, you are going to succeed in what we want our church to do, which is reach a bunch of young people. I mean, there's still people discussing, saying, "Oh man, we shouldn't get on TikTok and all these things." And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, businesses are already going there. Um,
Yeah.
if you look at Christian TikTok, which is a legitimate portion of TikTok, there is youth pastors with millions of followers. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I follow one. He has 1 million followers. There's another guy who just started. All he did was basically put church on TikTok. And I think he also does it on Instagram. He has 1 million followers. And then I'm saying, man, if you and then that other pastor that we mentioned who talks about chai tea, they wrote about him. They said, man, look at this. This is doing great things. So I think we should be less apprehensive in utilizing what's working when it's right in front of us. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we were saying how people were apprehensive of social media, then COVID-19 happened, and then now they had no choice. So I think it's very interesting that we have to be I think we have to start moving a little faster and moving and seeing where things are heading. That's
Yeah.
basically my 2 cents.
No, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Because if I'm trying to talk to a guy who plays basketball, right? I'm not gonna find him in my house. I'm not gonna find him in the deli. If I go to a basketball court, there's a likelier chance that I'll find the person I'm looking for there. You know what I mean? So I feel like if all the Gen Zers are on a certain platform or whatever it is, and that's who we're trying to target, we're not gonna find them by doing everything else around it. We have to go to that platform. We have to be in that place to be able to attract them and also just talk to them. You're not gonna talk to them if you're not in the same. If you're not talking on the same level.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So here's another thing I want to pick your brain about a little bit. Uh you might have noticed this, but not as much because Greater New York is really good at keeping your young adults engaged. But that point where Pathfinders no longer want to become master guides, these high schoolers who they were excited about Pathfinder, they're excited about Oshkosh, but when it's that time to transition and become a staff and become a master guide, we lose them
Mm-hmm.
because either it got a little boring or they got their guide. Well, what I've seen is a lot of Pathfinders who've come to me, they said, hey, I got my guide. That's what I was aiming for. That's it. And I was like, wait,
Yeah.
there's one more. So my question is, how do you think we can engage Gen Z into staying hooked into the Pathfinder ministry and becoming staff, area coordinators, and leaders for the future?
Um. So I was one of those pathfinders who at the end at somewhere around Voyager Explorer I was kind of like, I don't really know if I want to. But I think I'm also one of those who like Pathfinder. Like I'm the I'm the one in my family who went to my parents and was like, "Can I join Pathfinders?" Whereas my siblings was Mwenya's going, so the rest of you are going as well. So I think for for me, I think sometimes it's recognizing the ones who actually want to be there and isn't part of family obligation or aren't being made to go to club and participate in club. My oldest sister was never the person to really like Pathfinders, but she also has the personality where if she's made to do something, she'll do it till she has the opportunity to say no. So I think sometimes Pathfinders may fall into that category where they're doing it out of family obligation. They're doing it because their
Mm.
parents say so, and they don't have the choice till they're guide and they're 18 and they're like, now I can choose not to be part of it. So I think first it's recognizing the ones that actually this is like they love Pathfinders. Pathfinders is their thing. Because I've been told by a couple other people as well, like Pathfinders is just not, it's just not the thing for me. I didn't really want to go camping. Didn't really want to march and drill. And I'm looking at them like, how, how could you not want to do that? That's like everything. Like, how could you not want to?
So I think sometimes it's being a little bit more understanding in our approach of pathfinders and master guides, and recognizing that it's not necessarily always a rite of passage. That not every young person wants to be a master guide, even though that hurts. So I think
Oh,
that's
so
number
much.
one. Huh? It hurts
I
so
said, oh,
much.
so much, so much,
Yeah.
deep in the recesses of my soul.
So I think it's recognizing that not every young person wants that, but then also the ones that um, but then also empowering the ones that do. So sometimes also they might want to be help out in leadership and everything, but may not necessarily want to do the 2 years of book work, at least for Greater New York, that it takes to be a master guide. Um, so I think it's some type of a balance where you're empowering them to work even outside of being master guides, to work, and then yes, there will be limitations because some things you just have to be a master guide to do that. Um, but yeah, so it will be like not sometimes as a church, sometimes we have the the tendency to shun people because you didn't go ahead and do master guide. So now, why you're not a master guide, you can't lead. So I think just there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance somewhere
Mm,
in there of empowering people to work in the capacities that they're in at the moment. Yes, wanting them to do more and be a master guide, but also not pushing them so far that they're just like, never mind. That would be my
man,
answer. I know it's kind of convoluted from your question, but yeah.
no, no, it's awesome. And I was about to say that um kind of I kind of want to shun. I'm so tempted. I'm like, man, I've been training you for so long. I trained you from friend to guide, and I want to be like that parent that has been waiting for that high school graduation, and I just
Mm-hmm.
I want to pin somebody. I have not yet pinned any of my students. They all quit at guide, and
Oh wow.
I that's why
I
it hurts
see.
my soul so much because I don't know. I thought I was making it look fun. I do have fun. I love this thing. I wear a helmet. Mask. I wear. Look, I got a Pathfinder scarf on my mic. I mean, my life is all Path. I love it to death. If you pay me minimum wage to do Pathfinder ministry, I will do somersaults. I'll break my back, but I'll do a somersault. So
Yeah, yeah.
just if I could find the way to motivate somebody to get that master guide pin, oh my goodness, the joy. I would be weeping. Maybe that's what I'll have to say. All right, anybody who's listening, if you want to see Eric Jean-Baptiste weep profusely like he just saw Up, all right, because Pixar Up, that movie, the
Yeah,
beginning
yeah.
when he's you thought he was gonna be. See, that's the thing about Up. Let me do a little diatribe here. The thing about Up is I thought I was going to see an old man and a young boy, and then go into. And next thing I know, I see this young man who I can relate to fall in love with a woman, which I can very much relate to, and then next thing you know, it goes through their whole life, and then I was weeping profusely. If you want to see me weep like I wept at the beginning of Up, get your master guide. So yeah, so that's something I really care about. But anyway,
So I'm
this
gonna
is.
brag for a bit because I got
Oh,
to pin my
brag,
first master. I'm gonna brag. I'm just gonna brag. I
brag
got
it.
to pin my. Yeah, I got not even master guide, but area coordinatorship. Oh, to one of my when I was junior counselor, one of my first like units I was given to, and Chichi Okuchu Kevu became an area coordinator this past year in Greater New York. So just wanna just a little, just
I'm
a little,
so jealous.
just a little
I'm
flex.
I'm jealous. I am completely 100% jealous. I will admit it because that day, man, I'll be so excited. So anyway, Unfortunately, I don't think we're live on 93.7 FM SCA1 Radio Centenal, but this is for their show, so I will still do my typical halfway radio banter where I say, you're listening to 4 to Z on that channel. We are live usually on Wednesdays at 3 p.m., and then we replay the show throughout the week. So, once again, you're listening to 4 to Z.
Pop out with some lessons for a lifetime. We finna sit down and talk about the times. Keeping it 100 for the one time. For our generation, talking all the time. For the C, yeah, yeah. For the C, yeah, yeah. For the C, yeah, yeah. For the C, pop out with the Z.
All right, everybody, you are listening to 4 to Z. This is where we talk about issues that are affecting Generation Z, but what we're trying to do is bridge the gap from A to Z. And Mwenya, you are definitely Generation Z, right?
Am I? So I fall into that weird age group where one website will tell me I am, and then the other will tell me I'm not. So I do not know what generation I'm in. Honestly, I am. I guess I am in the bridge. I am. I am right there in the middle.
See, I did that on purpose because I knew you said you were borderline, and the last guess I had, I said they were Gen Z, and they were like, "No, I'm a millennial," and so I'm making that an ongoing joke where I forget that I'm talking to a millennial, a fellow millennial myself. As I said on this show, that I am a border as well, but I am border between millennial and Gen X, not Gen Z. I'm a bit older than that, so yeah. And my wife loves to say that I am Gen X, and I say no, I am not. I'm a millennial, and I get really upset. And then I see that she's smiling because she did that on purpose to make me feel old, like she loves to do. So yeah. Like I said on this podcast, on this radio station before, that I'm borderline in the fact that I remember days where I had to call somebody on the landline to talk to them, and how getting on the internet was dial up, and it made
Dial up.
the fax noises and all these things. So being a borderline as yourself, you know how it is to be a millennial and Gen Z. One thing I think a lot of churches mistake is they say that Gen Z are millennials and vice versa. What are the differences that you've seen between the two of us?
Hmm. I think. I think for me, they're very slight differences. I think it's part of the issue of being borderline, where I'm kind of like, but I kind of fall in both. Um, so I know people want to say millennials are the tech savvy ones, but I gotta give it to my Gen Zers. I think they're way better and outshining millennials even at this moment where they're still like just coming into young adult age. So I have to give the tech savviness to Gen Zers. Um, and then the other part will be, I think millennials will say stuff, but might also keep it reserved. But Gen Zers would just tell you what's up. They'll just say it as it is. There's no holding back. It's if you're wrong, you're wrong, and if you're right, you're right. But there's no middle ground of trying to help you feel better about you being wrong. So yeah, I think those would be the two main things. But millennials gotta just give up the tech savviness and give it to Gen Zers. I think.
Yeah,
I
I
think that
think
would be the
us
main point.
millennials have to see. We learned because it came to us, and we were, you know, the first generation to like have our own cell phone and like be better at it than Gen X and boomers. So we started to pat ourselves on the back, but then we forgot Gen Z, they grew up in it. Like they don't know the world without it. So yeah, they're more tech savvy. What I will say I agree with them being, straight to the point. Uh, it's I think it was a Gen Z who made OK Boomer famous, and
Probably.
it blew up on TikTok, and it's now a statement to anybody who's not a Gen Z. If you are a millennial and you just don't get it, you're OK Boomer. If you're Gen X
Sorry.
and you don't get it, you're OK Boomer. And so they're straight
You're
to the point.
millennial, you
And
don't get it.
yes, and I have gotten it a lot. I have been told that my content has been cringe. Go back to the drawing board. Don't fall into the trends. I try to do the trends, and they don't like seeing me do the trend, even though I do them correctly, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But they say no because I'm a boomer. So they're straight to the point. They're not going to be held back by another generation saying this is how it is, because their world is so different from the boomer world. I mean, the boomer reality is so different from millennials. Started to see that reality change, right?
Yeah.
We got to see school shootings start to become normal. I mean, it started in 1999 in Columbine. That was like, this will never happen again. And then lo and behold, it's happening all the time. Thankfully, what's slowing it down is COVID-19. And then the boomer reality of if you live in the United States, you're safe. There's no acts of war or terrorism on our soil. You have to go all the way back to Pearl Harbor. Then 9/11 happened. And that completely shifted the mindset of millennials. Millennials started becoming purpose-driven. We started to say, man, if we're going to live a life, we're not going to just become an investment banker going to work 9 to 5, making, even if we're making 6 figures, because we could go into the Trade Center building and then die. So we're going to have purpose because we can die any second. And then, so we saw that shift, but then the Gen Z, they're living in it. That's the reality. School shootings, the danger. I mean, if you look at what the issues of a teacher for a boomer generation was and a Gen X generation, and even the early generations of millennials, I mean, it's so different. It's like teachers were worried about students talking in class, chewing gum and putting it underneath the desk.
Chewing gum.
Yeah, passing notes. These were the issues of those teachers. Now it's different. It's how do I get their attention away from their phone? How do I keep them safe from internet issues, sex trafficking, pornography, violence? I mean, these are the issues now they're facing. So it's a different reality. It's a completely different reality. Millennials started to see it happen, but Gen Z, man, they're living it. That's their reality. So they're not
even with school curriculum. When you look at it, like as you were saying, like it's not just engineering and economics that's offered. There is full-on podcasting classes in high schools and YouTube and everything. So just the field of what you can do has changed, and the possibilities, and actually learning it as a curriculum in school and not just at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're trying to figure out how it works, So I think even just in the education, the way they're taught is completely different.
Going on with that, the whole podcasting offered in school now, I think that's something that we also they didn't see coming. The reality of influence and the content creation. There's a movie called Birdman where his daughter is into social media and he's not, and he's like, I don't see the point. And in the movie has him go viral and that's how he gets popular again. And then
Oh
so
wow.
his daughter says, see the power of influence on social media. And I think that's where people miss out. Like,
Mhm.
we're living in the era of the Kardashians. Boomers were always saying these are people that don't do anything. And it's like, no, it's a different era now where what
Yeah.
you thought is nothing is influence and power and nearly billions of dollars. I know they're saying they're actually not billionaires, but yeah. So that is the world we're living in and all these things. I've also been talking about how Gen Z are big time entrepreneurs. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I feel like everyone right now has a business, has something that they're doing and making money through it. It's it's crazy. It's crazy to me that, you know, just I was just having a conversation again with one of my siblings about how like you don't realize the power of your own social media, your own platform, or your own voice, and how people are literally making money off of Instagram and what they're selling or what they're doing, or the services they provide. If they're a photographer, videographer, whatever the case may be, like everyone is starting up a business somewhere somehow, and it's crazy. And if someone could send me a message on how I can do that, I don't know what business I'll start, but
Mwenya, I
something
thought you
exciting.
had a business. I was ready to promote that business. I had it ready. I was gonna write it in the banner. I was gonna say Mwenya has this. Go purchase that merch because she has a podcast. Well, I'm gonna still put that. I'll put you plus me plus we.
Trust me.
Follow them and subscribe them. All
I
right.
wish. I wish. Honestly, I want to make my own. I would love to make my own like t-shirts. I just like do that. Honestly, I think it's
Listen,
like the thing I
it
do.
is.
I'm always
It's
buying some random t-shirt off the internet. So if I could figure out how to make it myself and sell it,
listen. It's
one of
as
those with the cool
simple.
things on them. Yeah, it's
It's
basic, but
simple.
everybody's always looking for one.
It is simple as 1, 2, 3. Check me out on Linktree, and you can actually find where I sell my shirts. Yes, I sell shirts. So check it out on my Linktree, and you can have some of my merch because that's what we do here on.
What kind of shirts do you have?
Oh well, I have basically some that say my brand, Youth Ministry and Mentorship 101, and I'm working on growing it, trying to revamp it, get better at it. That's the thing about um, I think Gen Z and people who are tech people. It's just like you can do so much. You just have to learn how to do it and
Yeah.
continue to work at it and get better at it. Like right now, I have shirts, but no one bought them, so I have to change what I'm doing so I can actually get some shirts sold and I don't know, make some money off of that. But yeah, it's so interesting and easy to be an entrepreneur today, and I think that's what uh, Gen Z are really doing. And by the way, everybody
Hmm.
who's listening, next week we have somebody who's a big time entrepreneur in a Gen Z who will be a guest. So check out that episode. So
Exciting.
yeah, so when
Exciting. Mm-hmm.
you get to see youth from all around the world or hear stories about youth from all around the world. So do you think there's differences between American Gen Z and Gen Z from, Africa, Europe? Like, are they doing something different in China or some? Well, Australia, places that you've.
Um, I'd say yes and no. So I think some of the components would most likely stay the same, but then you always have to recognize the influence of culture and how culture plays a part in how one leads their life. So I think that would be the one discrepancy between the two. Would be the culture and how what it looks like there and how people go about life there. So maybe like we were talking about everyone here, at least in the states, and you know everybody kind of being an entrepreneur, and that's still happening in other places, but maybe not as much as an influx as it's happening here, just because of the reach to resources and the ability to do things. So I think just the ability to access and the culture would be the two things that impede on it being the same, in my opinion.
Can I ask you why Pathfinder Ministry is so big in South America and why all their young adults are loving it and they have no problem wearing their class A on Instagram and stuff like that?
And
Do you
why
have
is
any
it
insight
big
on?
here?
Yeah, I try to get some kids to, do some promotional photos for, TLT Ministry, all these things, and I'm like, man, they won't do it. But then you look at South America, there's thousands of pages, tons of followers,
So
and they do it all the time, and it's just like, man,
I
I
think
wish
that
they
would be
do
a
it here.
question I would probably have to ask Kenya and get back to you on it. But I think it might. It. I think it's gonna be a cultural thing, and the way, um, I guess the ministry's presented there, and the ability to do stuff and the access to do other things is in South America. But yeah, I wish I was in South America. My goal in life is to go to a Brazilian camporee. That's like my one goal, just to go to Brazil for camporee and be there because it looks amazing. And I wish that happened at Oshkosh, but it's different. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might be. It might. Again, I think it's gonna. I'm gonna chalk it up to the cultural aspect of it.
Wow, wow. You see, I think we still can do it here. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I don't know. They don't want to do it, but hey, let's try to get some. I'm always in my class A. I get in trouble sometimes on how it's presented on
For
social
being in
media,
class A
but
too much.
yeah, well, not that, but sometimes my jacket's unbuttoned and stuff like that. They're like, "Oh, how dare you?" And I'm like, "Uh-oh." But I feel like letting people know. I feel like letting people know that Pathfinder Ministry is fun and I enjoy it. And let me tell you this story. I actually did that for my old conference, and then I said, "All right, come on, just give me one picture." And then they gave me one picture in class A. I posted it on our social media, and then the South American social media, they took it, and then I showed it to the person I did, and the South American social media, it blew up. Like she got like
Mm-hmm.
5,000 likes, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm famous!" And I'm like, "See, you see, if you serve the Lord Jesus Christ, you can be famous. You don't have to do the
Mm-hmm.
things of the world." And I've been telling that to them about TikTok too. But anyway,
Yeah, I
so
think I'm gonna chalk it up to cultural and the way. I also want to know the answer to this question, so I will look into it. But I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I think I don't know. I've, I don't know.
yeah, so if we could figure it out, then I know it'll be
We'll be
awesome
fine.
to. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So as we come into a close on this episode on For the Z, first of all, Mwenya, thank you so much for coming
No
to the
problem.
radio station and talking about your experiences, your podcast, and all these things. I mean, can I get a little difficult right now?
Mm-hmm.
Who was your favorite
Whatever.
guest so far on the podcast?
I
And
think
you
they
can't say
all
me
know.
because I haven't been there yet. But who was your favorite guest?
Ooh. Okay. Honestly, I think it's a toss up right now. It's a toss up between two. It's a toss up between Paco and Mario Broussard.
Ooh,
I think it's a
tell me
toss up
about it.
between the two of them.
Why are their episodes so juicy?
Okay, so I think with Paco, it was a super honest conversation, and we went into how, because Paco grew up as a pastor's kid, and then him too being a pastor, and how the burden of position may be on his life or on people who are following the same trend of being pastors' kids, and then maybe being a pastor, and I think, um, yeah, I think just that whole conversation was really good for me. And then with Mario, we talked about mental health, and
Mm,
I don't know, we the episode was only supposed to be 45 minutes. It ends up being like an hour 20. So like, get
wow.
through it. It's good. We just Mario had like a bunch of gems to throw into that episode. I can't even pinpoint a part of it, but that episode was so good. It was so good. Yeah.
Wow.
So
So
just go into that.
it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely about, we're experiencing that as a very crucial topic, mental health, and it's something that we have
Mm-hmm.
to really address. I think that's what made that episode so good, right? Like
Maybe,
talking
yeah.
about, wow, yeah. I think what
Yeah,
really
we just
opened
went in.
the eyes was how pastors have been committing suicide. I think that's when, the church started saying, "Uh-oh, yeah, we got to pay
Yeah,
attention
yeah.
to this. It's
Mm-hmm.
real. It's out here."
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Paco was a straight up honest conversation. I mean, he's learning Spanish.
Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of apprehensive, but I wanna have like a Jeopardy game between them. Because I'm learning Spanish too,
You
so I
should.
want I
I
want to
feel
challenge him and see
I
if
feel
I
like you
could beat
should.
him.
I feel like that would be a good game. Maybe like a Kahoot with like some translation in there. I honestly I would watch that. I would watch to see who is better at Spanish at this point.
Uh,
Yeah. I think that sounds good. That honestly sounds good. I might tell him about it.
oh,
I'll put in a
all
good
right.
word for you.
I I might
Make
regret
it
have
happen.
saying that, but I'm just letting out my emotions on this still. So I might have regretted saying that because I think he might come on, uh, defeat me royally, and embarrass me because he has some awesome teachers. I mean, working there with Pastor Andreas, and you're not too far away from Pastor Armando and all these people, man. Jose
True.
Cortez,
That's
my
true.
goodness, all these leaders, man. Anyway,
Everyone. All of them.
um, so by the way, everybody, please subscribe to their podcast. Uh, it is hosted by Sister Mwenya and Sister Kenya, and it is you plus me plus we. Follow them and subscribe. They're doing amazing things at the General Conference Youth Department. I think I'm learning so much from them. Watching them work, they are extremely busy, active, having fun. I'm telling you, I would love to visit just one day and see how much fun you guys have in that office. Um,
We should.
but
Something
I
really,
just want,
really good.
yes. And I just want to remind everybody that you can find me on Instagram at youth_mentor101, where we talk about youth ministry and mentorship all the time. I also have that podcast. A new episode will be coming out tomorrow with Pastor Donovan Washington, who is the youth director of the South Atlantic Conference, one of the regional conferences in the North American division. So, Sister Mwenya, any last thoughts you want to give to our audience as we close out today?
Ooh. Um. I guess this is a word for me too. If you feel like God's pushing you to do something, just do it. Just do it. Let him figure out the rest. So just do it. I think that'll be the thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Whatever that is. Mhm.
Awesome. For me, as I always say on this podcast and this radio station, is listen to your young people. Listen to your young people. Engage in their conversation. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth, so listen more, talk less. Uh, they're very intelligent, very wise. They know most of the time what path they need to go, and they want your advice, but what they really want is for you to listen, because if you do, then they will definitely listen to your advice. I mean, the best mentors just listen. So thank you everyone who was listening today. We usually are on the radio on 93.7 FM SCA1 Radio Centenal in Massachusetts, but On social media, you will find us on my Facebook page, Youth Ministry and Mentorship 101, and on my profile, Eric Hervé Jean Baptiste. All right, so feel free to check it out. I think I'll also rebroadcast this at 6 p.m. as well. So anybody who was, working or busy can check it again. So we thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week where I speak with Brother Nathan, who is a big-time entrepreneur. I learned so much from him. You're going to want to listen to that conversation. So once again, this is For the Z. We'll see you next time. God bless. Bye.
Pop out with some lessons for a lifetime. We finna sit down and talk about the times. Keeping it 100 for the one time. For our generation, talking all the time. For the C, for the C, yeah, yeah. For the C, for the C, yeah, yeah. For the C, for the C, yeah, yeah. For the C, pop out with the Z.